A very happy Climate Action Week for starters. I work on Green School's Let's Fix Fashion campaign, and I'm so excited to welcome you all here to our panel discussion of Fashion Reimagined. Fast fashion is now one of our largest polluters. The analogy that was used in the film was quite astounding, that if fashion was a country, it would rank third for CO2 emissions after US and China. It contributes to 10% of our greenhouse gas emissions, second to oil industry and more than international flights and shipping combined. And it contributes to 20% of our global wastewater pollution. So I'm so happy to see so many here today. We've had 145 screenings already that has taken place around the country, and that totals around 4,000 students that are being inspired to take action to slow fashion. This is our third year of the campaign, and each year we launch during Climate Action Week with a documentary screening where students are tasked with a communication takeover to raise awareness on the environmental, human and social impacts of the fast fashion industry. I was so excited about Fashion Reimagined coming out because it was so inspiring, and it just highlights just how broken the system is and that we urgently need to reinvent the fashion industry. Like, our clothes should not have to be shipped all the way to China from the farm in Uruguay to ship back to sell to a neighbour down the road. But that fast fashion model has made it this way. And I was so amazed to hear that a typical garment travels to at least 5 countries before reaching its customer. So we'll be exploring some of these issues a little bit later on. In our launch in 2021, we watched a true cost and we had a panel discussion, which you can view on our project page, and we can put up the links today. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend this if you're just starting out your journey. It was made in 2015, and it really was the catalyst for change and motivated so many of us to change our behaviours as consumers. It covers the diversity of topics that we'll touch on today, from the consequences of linear design, materials, manufacturing, carbon emissions, water usage, environmental pollution, shipping, microplastics, along with all the social issues around poverty, wages, gender inequality, diversity and inclusion. It's been 10 years and not much has changed in terms of policy and legislation. So I would recommend watching the panel discussion on this as well in your school. Then last year we screened a textile mountain, which examines the secondhand trade industry and how we cannot recycle our way out of this problem. I mean, we only recycle about 1% of our clothing, but the 70% of our donated clothes are being sent abroad, and the impact that this is having as the materials are deteriorating. The quality of our clothes are getting worse. They're made by synthetics, like 60% are made by our polyesters. And that's releasing our microplastics with huge social and environmental problems. So this is a nice kind of 15-minute documentary. It was shot in Kenya, Ireland and Belgium. And I just love how it finishes with inspiring examples of circular fashion with designers like Amy who are finding their way, and includes the Irish clothes swap shop platform Nua as well. So it's really inspirational as well. So this year we've 40 secondary schools participating in Let's Fix Fashion, schools that are working on litter and waste, on global citizenship, litter and waste and energy. And you can see them dotted all around the country there. But this year we're very excited to launch our international exchange project, and it includes 2 schools who are here with us today from Kenya, thanks to our sponsors in ClosePod, and we cannot wait to share knowledge and our ideas and meet at our end of year catwalk event, and we'll be hearing from them a little bit later on. But without further ado, I want to start, before we start discussions, let me introduce our panelists before I hand you over to our host today, Fionnuala Moran. So Fionnuala is our ambassador for the Let's Fix Fashion programme. She is an Irish broadcaster, sustainability expert, eco-influencer and DJ. This picture I took from her page last year, where she took an old pair of curtains and upcycled them, which I just thought was amazing. So she might share some of those tips with us later on. She uses her social platforms to showcase fun and accessible ways, and particular focus with sustainable fashion. So her mantras are sport over shame and progress over perfection. So when it comes to encouraging people to get involved in climate action, and her approach is based on her research, as she's a double DCU graduate with a BA in communication and MSc in climate change policy, media and society. We are also joined by Alex Reilly, who's an entertainment television producer. She works on the 6 o'clock show on Virgin Media, and she's also our climate ambassador. She won an Outstanding Achievement Award for involving creating the climate ambassador swap shop social, so she could also share some amazing tips with us. She set up the Instagram Thanks It's Vintage in 2021, so check out her page as well. It's her return to the pre-love fashion, and she's only been shopping secondhand for the last 2 years. She's also currently producing Climate Action Week on the 6 o'clock show, so check out some of the features there this week as well. I'm also really excited to be joined by our ambassador from Kinsale Community School, Lillian Gleave, who has been with us from the very start of this campaign and is such an inspiration. She's also a member of Green Schools, of Water Ambassador Programme, of the Climate Ambassador this year as well. And her project on fast fashion, on mending and repairing, won a special award for ESD at the BT Young Scientist. And she spoke at both our events last year, and she takes every opportunity to talk to us about ending fast fashion, and we cannot wait to hear from you, Lillian. Thanks so much for being here today. We also have students from Gort Community School who were amazing to work with last year. They spoke at many of our events as well. They presented at our clothes sharing event and had loads of tips for us on hosting a swap shop in your school. They completed all their events, went above and beyond, spoke at our vinyl event about their sustainability journey, and they made these beanie hats that they upcycled from our circular design workshop, which they hope to donate to the local children's hospital. Some really inspiring work going on in Gort Community School. And last but not least, then we have Danson and our 2 Kenyan schools here as well. So Danson is a project officer at the Kenyan Organisation of Environmental Education. He's a business and sustainability advocate, youth action storyteller and poet. And we're very lucky to have you here today. We have Ruaraka High School in Nairobi. We're patrons of the International Climate Champions since 2019. Through networking, the club has become a member of Green Schools. And some of their projects include tree growing, plastic revolution, sensitization of students on the importance of the environment, and they also champion the Litterless campaign. And then we have McKinney School in Nairobi, who are involved in tree planting, where they have many young environmentalists. And one of their environmentalists is 6 years and planted 492 trees, which is incredible. And Miss Environment Africa, who's crowned in South Africa, members of Kakwa Kids, Churchill Environment, working closely with former Miss Kenya. Amazing. So we cannot wait to have a chat with you guys here today. So I am going to stop sharing for now and hand you over to Fionnuala, and I will come back to tell you about some of our other upcoming events later on today. Thank you.
Hello, thanks a million, Claire. And just to get the group chat firing today, because I kind of want this to be something that you get as much as you want out of this, so you can ask us all of the questions that you want. If you want to just fire in where in the country or abroad you're tuned in from, I'd love to see where all the little bits of the country are lighting up, or the globe. So one quote I want to start off with, because I think it's really, really important to just kind of highlight and showcase how you're already being part of the change by being here today, by watching the documentary, and by opening your eyes, especially when you're doing it at such a young age, because unlike all of us who kind of learned all these things a lot later in life, you're not going to have to unlearn really unsustainable habits. The true cost that we just touched on there, I saw that just before New Year's 2019, and it blew my mind. That was my big breakthrough moment for me. I quit fast fashion after that. I went on a 6-month buying ban, a really good way to reset your shopping habits if you want to give it a go. And I started to learn what sustainable fashion was, what slow fashion was, and I've had so much fun since doing secondhand shopping, vintage shopping, upcycling, like with those curtains there. We have some slides. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to show those or not, Claire. Will we be able to?
Yeah, do you want me to show it now?
Lovely, if we can, yeah, and I might just do the 2 video bits there, if we can show those off. It's just kind of highlighting the fun we can do, and no doubt I'm going to see far more talented things than this come April when we do the catwalk, which I'm so excited for. If any of the schools are very confident in their ability to strut the catwalk as well, I would love to hear your confidence in the group chat as well, so fire that on in. But yeah, that is going to be a really, really fantastic one for us. But back to that quote that I mentioned, it's from Margaret Mead, and it's never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. So whether you're working in a school group, a community group, anything like that that you're doing at the moment, you are already being part of the change to build the new future that we are going to have. So these are just some of the bits here that I want to show you. If we can skip to the second slide of that, that'd be fab. So this is some of the ways I've been using my platform to champion sustainability. I know we've got friends from Kenya in here today. The photos on the left here are me in Malawi. This time last year, I went over to see all of the amazing climate action projects they're doing to build resilience in their communities, to future-proof themselves against tornadoes and different things like that. So they're doing fantastic stuff there. And climate justice was the major message they wanted to share with us. So all of what we're doing now, it's a really, really positive way to use our privilege and our platforms here to be more sustainable. But we have to remember people in other countries are being far more adversely impacted by the realities of climate change now than we are here in Ireland. And that's our main motivator and our moral obligation at all times to do as much as we can. You can see me here on the far right on the 6 o'clock show, with many thanks to Alex, who we're going to hear from in just a little bit, wearing a rental dress here. And I always make sure that anytime I'm doing any media things to be wearing sustainable outfits to really, really showcase how we can still be looking glam or presenting ourselves however we like, but doing it in a sustainable way. And if we go on to the next clip, I'm just going to show you here how we can upcycle things and use the stuff that's already in existence. I thought this was a fascinating thing in the documentary that it touched on. It was so brilliant to see people championing different ways that we can be sustainable. And if we can hit play on the video on the left here, we might get a nice little transformation.
Before, after.
So some grimy old curtains that came with my secondhand house, my lovely secondhand curtains, then got the red carpet run out, which was a really, really fun way to use something that had been in existence for far longer than I had. So all my aunties are asking, am I going to wear that to my wedding now? And who knows, it may well get another run out. And then if we just go on to the next slide as well, there's just another little upcycle example here as well. Oh, on the one just before that. And if we hit play on this video on the left as well. I have a dress I wore to the VIP Style Awards. It's a really special story. My mum had worn it to a wedding when I was, I'm going to say 3. So for the 2019 VIP Awards, I got the waist taken up and just totally modernised a dress that had been sitting in the back of her wardrobe for over 2 decades, nearly 3 decades. So those are just some ways that we can upcycle the stuff that we already have to make sure we're reducing emissions, reusing materials, because as we saw from the documentary, there is so much that goes into making these materials. So that's something we're going to be touching on now. I would love to go around our panel today and just get really short little brief intros from all of us about what we're doing in sustainable fashion spaces before we click excuse me, into our Q&A, just so we can really get inspired and see all the different ways people are using their platform and their power to make sustainable change happen in the community spaces they're involved in. So I might jump to Lillian Gleave next. I was so inspired by her when I got to chat to her on the panel about all of the research that she's done and about particularly the loss of really basic skills. They would have been considered basic a few generations ago for repairing our own clothes. I thought it was just fascinating how in the space of a few generations these have all been lost. So Lillian, would you mind now introducing some of the amazing work that you've been doing?
Yeah, of course. So hey everyone, my name is Lillian Gleave and I'm honoured to be one of the student ambassadors for the Let's Fix Fashion campaign again this year. So it's wonderful to see so many of you here today, and I'm absolutely thrilled to share a bit of my journey, my passion, and the incredible impact we can make together. So I've been a passionate advocate for climate action and against fast fashion throughout my secondary school years, and had the privilege of speaking on this pressing issue on a number of occasions, from the National Stakeholders Forum on Climate to the European Commission's Working Group on Schools Learning for Sustainability. And I've gotten to talk with all kinds of amazing people, from primary schools from Ireland to students in Sweden in secondary school, and I've spoken to politicians and stakeholders, and I can't imagine a world where I wasn't drawn into the fight against fast fashion. But my journey, where it began, was when I stumbled upon a documentary, you mentioned it yourself, called The True Cost, which really opened my eyes to the environmental and social issues caused by the fashion industry. I'm sorry. And I was shocked to discover the pollution, the waste, the unfair labor practices that are so prevalent in the world of fast fashion. And I think the most chilling example that illustrated the devastating impact of fast fashion was the Rana Plaza factory collapse in Bangladesh. In 2013, this tragic event claimed over 1,100 garment workers' lives, which might be more people than in your entire schools. This heartbreaking incident exposed the dire working conditions for people in the industry and really served as a wake-up call for many of us. And hearing about it, even years after the event, was the moment I knew I had to do something about it. So I embarked on creating a project to combat fast fashion by promoting clothes mending and increasing the usage time of garments. And for those of you who don't know, usage time is taken to mean the intensity of use multiplied by the period over which it's used. For example, an article of clothing can last very many years in someone's wardrobe without being used. In this case, the lifetime might be high, but the total usage time would be low. And it's the usage time of an article of clothing that offsets how much the purchase of new similar clothing articles. So for this project, I was really lucky to win the inaugural Department of Education Special Award for Education for Sustainable Development. And I thoroughly enjoyed every aspect, from researching to hosting clothes mending workshops, conducting surveys and analysing data, because each one of these small actions gave me hope that we can genuinely make a difference. And after that, I began doing these sort of speeches and conferences. But as I battled for climate justice, I realised I can't do it alone. So when I found the Let's Fix Fashion campaign, I discovered a community of like-minded individuals who were just as passionate about making a change as I was. And it was inspiring to see how a group of people who care can come together and make a real impact. To me, this campaign symbolizes hope, change, a brighter future for our planet and as people. It's about taking responsibility for our choices as consumers and holding the fashion industry accountable for its actions. It's about demonstrating that young people like us have the power to influence positive change on a global scale. The Let's Fix Fashion program showed me our actions, your actions, can create a more sustainable and ethical fashion industry. I encourage all of you to continue the fight, to advocate for ecological integrity, social justice, and ethical fashion practices. We are the future of Ireland, and together we can make a difference. So thank you for being a part of this remarkable movement, because together we can fix fashion and make the world a better place for all.
Go on, Lillian. Never not massively inspired listening to Lillian and how much she's fitting in alongside her studies. It's so impressive, and just goes to show it's never too soon to start changing the world. So you're just phenomenal, Lillian. And I'm going to move on next to Alex, who is someone I've had the privilege of working very closely with over the last few years. And I love how Alex is bringing conversations into the mainstream that wouldn't otherwise be being having there. That's awful English. But it's really fantastic to see the way all of our mindsets are shifting now, because we're normalizing all different things like rental fashion and getting some of the country's top TV presenters to be wearing these things day in, day out, and just platforming fantastic conversations. But not only doing all the stuff front of camera, doing lots of stuff behind the camera with Albert carbon calculator certification. I am tumbling over my words today, which is basically the gold standard of sustainability in TV production. So Alex, if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit more about your own sustainability journey as a climate ambassador. You're just on mute there.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I basically kind of restarted my, I suppose, kind of journey against fast fashion only in the last couple of years. When I was younger, I would have always shopped secondhand, but that was more for financial reasons. I was from a single parent family, and my mum said, if you want an item of clothing, if you can find it in a secondhand shop, you can get it. But then as shops started to bring out, you know what I mean, more than twice seasonal fast fashion drops, it became more and more easy to get, you know, catwalk looks on the high street weekly, and I fell for it, hook, line and sinker. I was constantly buying clothes. And then when I started to work in the 6 o'clock show, I've worked in the television industry for about 20 years. I started to work with two Fionnualas, Fionnuala Jones and Fionnuala Moran. So Fionnuala Jones, you might know her as an influencer and a TV presenter, and she started to tell me about the fact that she had given up buying new clothes and fast fashion, and she'd been doing it for a couple of years. And then I heard of Fionnuala Moran, and I started following her on Instagram. And I think you had done this really great chat with the founder of Thriftify. And Ronan was talking about the fact that he began to realize that, you know, the climate crisis was going to happen in his lifetime. And for a long time, I had been recycling and I had thought that I was a very good environmentalist, but really I had just been touching the surface. And hearing that chat, I realized that it was going to be in my lifetime. And what he had kind of said was he could go to, you know what I mean, as long as he tried his very best to be a good climate activist, that's all he could do. You know what I mean? And I just turned around and I said, right, okay, from this day forward, that's what I'm going to try and do. And what Fionnuala was chatting about of being, you know, trying your best and being an imperfect environmentalist took the pressure off of like climate anxiety and not really knowing what to do. And my background is entertainment television. I don't have, you know what I mean, a degree in sustainability or anything like that. So I kind of felt like intimidated to add my voice to the conversation. And that's why I decided to sign up to the Climate Ambassadors, because they give you background training in climate action. They bring you into a community that has loads of different backgrounds. So there were people there that, you know, were studying climate and sustainability, but then there was also people who within their community had done tidy towns or had set up biodiversity ponds. And I got to know absolutely everybody. And I was still a little bit intimidated. I didn't think I belonged. And then I started to try and figure out what I could bring to the table. And to give another quote, Fionnuala, David Attenborough says that, you know, the climate crisis is now a communications issue. And the way that we can get the information out there is talking and television and film and documentaries like we watched for Let's Fix Fashion. And I wanted the 6 o'clock show to be part of that. So normally in the 6 o'clock show, we might mention the climate crisis maybe once or twice a year. It was definitely a don't look up situation. TV companies are very afraid that if we talk about the down subject of the climate crisis, people will switch off their television. And I decided to change that. So I wanted to ramp up our conversations about climate action to weekly. So we had to have our chefs doing sustainable meals every week. I convinced Fionnuala Moran to join our team as our climate expert, and she delivers like every fortnight fantastic conversations around climate action. And what we wanted to do was not avoid the serious conversation. So we always start off our segments with talking about news about the climate crisis and what's going on. So whether there's a new report out or whether there's maybe forest fires, we talk about that because we want people to know about it. And the fact as well that it's no longer, you know, far away countries that the climate injustice is happening. It's now also on our doorstep. So we can't ignore it. But then we also like to talk about good news stories to do with the climate crisis because we want to give people hope. And then we always end the segment by giving an action so that like our viewers can do something at home that they feel they're now involved in climate action. So we've also recently in the 6 o'clock show done sustainable our secondhand September. So I joined forces with Oxfam. Fionnuala helped choose a load of clothes for our presenters, and loads of our presenters got on board to wearing secondhand fashion on the show. And we set it on the program and then we posted on social media, and we actually had a fantastic reaction to some of the outfits that the presenters had worn. And it's all just these little steps of maybe not massively in your face conversations, but it's little signifiers that can change somebody's perception of what they're going to do about the climate. So they might see Karen Coster in this gorgeous gold skirt from Oxfam, and they'll decide, right, instead of going down to Zara, they're actually going to go to their local charity shop and go thrift shopping for the first time ever. At the moment, we're doing Climate Action Week. I was inspired obviously by Antashka's Climate Action National Campaign, and I decided to bring it to the show. This is our second year doing it. So each day we'll have a climate related guest. Today we have Mary Robinson on the show tonight, who's going to be talking about climate justice, climate action. She's talking about how the fact that she was in New York recently to do marches for ending fossil fuels. We also have daily sustainable cooking, and our presenters are all wearing sustainable clothes. And what I wanted then was a ripple effect, so that this year, we also have Ireland AM participating in Climate Action Week. We also have Virgin Media internally as a company participating in Climate Action Week. We've organised swap shops, we've organised talks, we've organised sustainable cooking in our canteen. So it's funny how me a year ago being very intimidated by having a voice in this area at all. Just little things of finding your niche and finding what you're good at and then applying it to climate action can really help and have a massive ripple effect. So that's me.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Alex. I think that really goes to show a lot of the thing I really got from the documentary Fashion Reimagined was Amy being the first one to ask questions that then became normal to everyone else. So
Yeah.
I see you both that we've talked to so far, and no doubt all of the guys that we're going to talk to here as change makers. We're all involved in different communities. I think a lot of the time when people hear climate action, they think, oh, that's someone else's job. I'm not anywhere where I can impact change, but we're all in family groups, friend groups, be it school groups, colleges, workplaces, our local sports clubs. We're all in spaces where we can massively impact change. So I think that's a really, really empowering thing to take away from today, if nothing else. Now, next, I'd love to go to dancing, because we just touched on communications there and David Attenborough's quote about how climate action is now a communications thing. We've heard the science for years. People know what that is, but it doesn't necessarily connect with people on the emotional level that it can take to really spur on action. So I'd love to hear how you got into doing your climate communications through poetry and art, and how all of that came about. You're just on mute there as well, if you want to pop that off.
I had forgotten about it. Hope you can now hear me. Okay, so for me, I think anything to do with fashion is kind of like a personal discussion and maybe narrative to me. Having been born in a low-income household in Kenya, most of the time when maybe people think about clothing, when people think about fashion, it's always more like maybe a luxury than a necessity. And so growing up, the only maybe kind of clothing you will get will be the leftover secondhand clothing from the market. So there's first the secondhand clothing, then now there's the secondhand that people in Kenya feel is not good for them. So as a child, maybe that's what I will go for. And that's what maybe my parents at that time would afford. Maybe apart from Christmas, when now we will go into a shop and buy like a new clothing. That was the only time I think I interacted with new clothing, only in December. And I know also for a long time, and this is a trend that has been going on and increasing over the ages, the Global South has been bearing the branch of Global North collection and I think fashion waste. And just to put this into perspective, in 2021, which I think is immediately, I think the year when COVID was still there in Kenya, a total of 37 million items, this is fashion waste, was dumped in Kenya. And I think I'm saying this was dumped in Kenya because most of the waste we get from the West, if I can call it, or maybe let's say the Global North, is mainly made from polyester and nylon. And I think having watched maybe the documentary on Fashion Reimagined, we all know that polyester and nylon, most of the time, it's always impossible to recycle them. So that means that what we are getting mainly from the Global North ends up as waste, more than maybe clothing that maybe people can put here in the Global South. And I think about 30 to 40% actually of the kind of fashion waste that we get from the West is something that cannot be worn by anyone. It's something that no one can put it on. So in short, it means if we are getting maybe 100 tons of waste from the West, about 40 tons of it has to go straight as waste without being put on by anyone, without maybe anyone using them, which I think it's a very big discussion that the Global South maybe needs to have. And also maybe the Global North also needs to think about this, knowing that if, let's say, we have something to do with recycling, we have something to do with upcycling. It needs to start at the source. And I think maybe this is one of the discussion that needs to be keenly put into perspective. Then on the global south, fashion waste, I think, is more than just an environmental concern. It's also a development issue in the global south, because most of what we are getting makes it now difficult for the textile industry in Kenya itself to develop. And maybe we can think of sustainable ways in which the textile industry in Kenya can rejuvenate and maybe produce sustainable clothing. But then this is always made difficult by the cheap secondhand clothes that normally come from the West. So we've had, I think, also some environmental concerns where in the video, I think there's a video where we saw the heaps of waste being dumped somewhere in the capital city of Kenya. And this ends up polluting our rivers, affecting, I think, our ecosystems, and much, much more. So I think talking about maybe the question that you had asked, as young people in this field, or maybe as young people who are keenly maybe interested in fashion waste, it's first of all important for us to seek the relevant knowledge and maybe competencies that can help to spearhead informed decisions. And I think maybe this is one of the platforms and discussions that can help start off this conversation. And it's good at least that we have an international exchange that has just started between Kenya and Ireland. It's kind of, I think, a good platform to bring both the first user and the end user of most of the fashion waste into one table to try and find like lasting solution. Secondly, young people can also, I think, use their voice, their energy. It can be social media. It can be even, let's say, maybe for schools like Makini here that we have, it can be something even like maybe in an assembly. They can even maybe talk to their parents. It has to start, I think, first by a personal reflection, then now extend to the other people that are around us. Then lastly, I think it's also important for young people to use their talent. If it can be storytelling, if it can be maybe poetry, if maybe someone can decide to do an article somewhere to fearlessly, I think, talk about all the impacts that fashion waste is having while sensitizing the community. That I think can be something of importance as young people. Thank you.
Fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant there. And there's a lot of talk at the moment with the circular economy here at home and then on a European level as well, which will hopefully see a lot of that waste, or especially the unusable waste, just being cut out at source. So the things that we are trying to reuse become just proper materials that can have more lives than just the one that we have with them. I am aware that Gert Community School are running off to exams next. They're very good to join us today. So if you gals would mind next telling us all about the work that you've been doing, and then we can let you run away and do your exams, and good luck with those.
So hi everybody, we're so excited to be here today. My name is Erin and I'm from Gore Community School, and I'm going to be talking about the really positive swap shop event we hosted last year in our school. So this event took a lot of preparation, but it was really fun to host. Basically we set a day in our school and we went to the assembly area and we encouraged all the students and teachers in our school, and we have over 1,000 to bring in their pre-loved clothes. When they donated the clothes, then we gave them coupons, and then they were able to come and exchange the clothes another day. Roisin's going to talk a bit about the preparation now.
Hello, so for this setup, we needed to find clothes rails and hangers to display all the clothes. So we went down to our local charity shops and we asked them if they'd give us a hand to lend us some of the clothes hangers, and they were more than happy to help us. So we brought them up to school, and then to plan out the event, we booked a room, had to be spacious to allow all the clothes to be set up and students to see all clothes. And we divided the room into the sections. There was baby clothes and different sizes of clothes and so on. So I'll pass it back to Erin now.
So the actual event was a really positive day. As Roisin said, we booked a room. We also had music playing, so that made the atmosphere in the room really great. We had different time slots for each year group so as not to get the room like too busy. Our management team is hugely behind us in the school and helped us along with all the planning. So we're hoping to make this, and we will be making this, an annual event and be part of our school culture. And now Lila's going to talk to you.
Hi, I'm Lila. I'm going to be talking about how we created baby hats out of old pre-loved t-shirts. So I'm just going to share the screen. Sorry. At the start of the school year, the fixed fast fashion team decided to create old baby beanies out of old t-shirts. As we didn't have a template, we decided to pick apart an old baby beanie and trace around it onto a piece of paper. And then we photocopied multiple copies of it to make multiple beanies. Our aim was to give these baby beanies to premature baby units to help keep babies warm. As I have the ability to use a sewing machine, I said that I will bring them home and run them up to actually create the form. And I think this activity really helped the fast fashion team to see how simple it is to upcycle old unwanted clothes into new items. And I'm handing it over to Kira.
Hi, I'm Kira, and I want to talk to you about our upcycled Christmas jumper day. So in December, we organised an upcycled Christmas jumper day because we wanted to change the promotion of students having to buy jumpers for our Christmas jumper day that we have every year with the whole school. So we had TYs bring in their old jumpers that they don't use anymore, and we had them come in class by class to save space down to the science labs, where we had materials that were donated from Green Schools. Thank you for that. It was all set up, and they had a whole day to make some lovely, interesting creations, as you can see. And it was a really, really great day to see the creative side of students, and there was a very positive atmosphere.
School. So Roisin, are you going to talk now?
I'll talk about the catwalk. So thanks to the Green Schools on Toshka for inviting us to the catwalk this last year. So we were one of the 5 schools invited to it because of all the work that we had put into. We were very honoured to be there. It was a highlight of the year, really. So to prepare for it, we went to charity shops and got different outfits to walk down the catwalk with. It was interesting to see all the different outfits being displayed there as well, and you can see myself up there and a few other people talking there.
And so to finish, we just want to thank you for inviting us here today. We were so happy to join, and we really recommend Let's Fix Fashion to all the schools, and it was a really interesting project. Personally, I didn't really know much about it before joining, and I've learned so much. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic, guys. Now that's a huge inspiration for anyone who wants to do the catwalk this year. That will show you some of the events that you can do. I think schools are a particularly powerful place to start swap shops off, because if you think about things that you're only going to wear once, like say Deb's dresses, or when you leave school, you're not going to get much use out of your uniform anymore. So making sure those things stay in the school cycle, as well as all the additional stuff you did there, are brilliant ways to go. Now, thank you so much, gals, for joining today. I know you're under time pressure with exams, so if you have to dip off, that is absolutely fine, and all the best of luck. Hopefully you get a few extra marks for all your wonderful environmentalism today as well. Now, I'm going to go to Makini next in Kenya, because this is fascinating to me and another way to be using platforms and linking up with different people. I'd love to hear more about the work that you did with Miss Kenya and all the other work that you're doing as well.
Everyone. Now, this is Makini School from Kenya. I would like to start myself by sharing that where I grew up around the biggest open air market in Kenya, in East Africa actually. It's called Gikomba Market, and this is where all the second-hand clothes come to, and they end up there. We have so much that is a lot of waste that is thrown around there. And again, very, very many young people who come from, especially even the neighboring countries, have been employed to sell clothes there. And there's a lot of waste. Since my childhood to date, there are many, many clothes that come, and like Danson shared, there are so many clothes that you wonder what really, no one can even wear them. And then they come there still after the bail being opened, and it's there. So together, even as the school, we have been trying to create awareness. We've been creating awareness amongst ourselves, and there's a lot of planting of trees also that we do, even as we do the cleanup, because we realize that when you do cleanup, the best way to go, and it's also talking about it and involving the community, because if you do it for the community, they will just see it as something that only the students and the school can be doing. And so when we're doing the cleanup, and it's unfortunate that in many places, conservation has been made to be only tree planting, which is not the case. We should not only do tree planting. Tree planting is good, but it is not enough when it comes to conservation. And I'm so glad that young people are involved in trying to bring the change that is needed. And even as a school, we want to learn from other people. We want to do even more. We have some of our students who have been into modeling. And one of the lessons that I got from Let's Fix It when I was looking at the material is that we have, yes, fashion is good, but there's a lot of damage that it does to the environment. And so it is, we are even more challenged right now, and we want to recruit everyone in the school as we continue to come and do this. And so even as we continue, we will be able to share even with more of our students a few things that we've been able to do in connection even with fashion, and making the world a better place, because it is our responsibility, because we see this every day. Fashion is good, but it is a double-edged sword that cuts two ways. Yeah, there's a bit of harm, and there's also the beauty about it. Allow me to maybe get one of our students to say something.
Hi, my name is Abira, and as he said, that like as a school, we're trying to plant trees, and the major place, the Kikomba, is mostly surrounded by hawkers who are not exactly from this country. That includes me myself. I'm not fully Kenyan. I'm from a neighboring country called South Sudan. And I can, from my childhood, like when I was a baby, I can remember my parents had to, like, we grew up in slums and the place was not really like secure. And then we started, and when I joined Makini school, they helped us, and like we all started contributing to plant trees, and we go around, like we even have this place in the upper part of the school, which has like a garden, which we usually use the crops which we plant to provide food to people who don't have food. So
many thanks. We also have Rich, who is also a musician. He does music and he promotes conservation through his music. He does keyboard. Rich, just say hi. Hi. It's okay. And allow me to introduce the last one. Nevin.
Hi. My name is Nevin. I'm in class 7.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Even as we continue, we'll continue getting in touch, and back to you.
Thank you. That's fantastic. If anyone is looking for an Irish artist that does a lot of kind of promotion of environmental issues through the music as well, I had the privilege of interviewing the Accidental Rapper recently as well. And he's fascinating. He raps all about social injustice, environmental issues, and it's in a Cork accent. So it might be a little bit trickier to understand for some of us, but he's an absolutely fantastic artist if anyone wants to check him out as well. Now, Lillian, number 2, we are going to go to you now. So I'd love to hear all about the plastic revolution work you've been doing in your school as well, if you want to tell us all about that work.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Lillian, number 2. Nice to be. This is Waraka High School. We are in Nairobi, Kenya, but mainly in an area where we have so many informal settlements. So most of our children come from the informal settlements. As they come to school, it is a day school. And so my passion for the environment actually started from the time I was a little girl. I was brought up in upcountry Kenya, the highlands, what is known as the former White Highlands. And we lived on a farm. Before we lived on the farm, we were living in the town. And my mother was a teacher, and she also was a tailor. She was doing 2 things at the same time. And she used to tailor little frocks for me. I used to love them. And my dad used to buy clothes also, new clothes. I don't know what the labels were, but we used to get new clothes. And as time went by, what I noted, my mom used to use the waste of the fabric to patch it up together to make a bed cover. So I think from there, that is what, got into me. It's later in life that, as I grew up, that now we started hearing about secondhand clothing and all that. And I got interested in secondhand clothing because one had been exposed to some designer names, a few of them. So you go to the secondhand clothing and you pick very nice ones. They stay long and they're unique for me. That's it. As time goes by, I've seen the fast fashion come in and, you really don't like it. But other than that, planting of trees, because I grew up in an environment of trees and flowers and all that has really had an impact on me. And that's what I've been able to pass on to my students as, their patron. And so in my school from about 2009, we started the Adopt a Tree, program. We started by planting trees. It was not very easy. Our school didn't have a fence. And so we had these goats coming in, eating, trees being trampled on. And with time, our school got a fence, by the government. It's adopted them. And before they would leave the school, they would hand over the tree to someone else so that that person takes care of the tree. And so today we are proud of about 1,000 trees, and the school is beautiful because it was a quarry, really, and people didn't believe that we would have trees. So it has changed the scenario here, and as the children talk, they'll tell you how, they find it different once they walk into the school. Around the school, we have rivers that flow. These rivers, you wouldn't say it's a river. They are dirty, very dirty because of, disposing of everything, dirt and all that in them. And partly that informed us to start taking care of plastics, how plastic is, disposed of. And so we collect plastic, around our school. Sometimes we ask students to come with the plastic, and then we have a vendor who comes and picks them, so that, they go and sell them, dispose them off, for us, since we don't have that capacity to dispose of. And so from there, we've been moving on different projects with time. And now we went a notch higher where the children can upscale, repurpose some of the, plastic items, that are found in the household, and encourage the students, to do the same, come up with some interesting items. And so I will, at this point, then just introduce the students who will do a very brief demo for us to see, what we do. And I will start here with Milton Deco.
Hi. Hi guys, my name is Milton from Raraka High School. I'm the author of the Letter from a Hungry Man, and currently I'm the chair. I'm the living chair. I have my colleague here. She will be the incoming chair. And as a leader, I believe I believe that where we have been posted, we have a role to play in influencing others to take care of the environment. So on this day, on this week, and the theme of the meeting, which is Let's Fix Fashion, we had a lot to say. First of all, I want to agree with Danson that educating and sensitizing is the first step. Yeah, and as a Rolaka and as the student leaders, that has been our main focus and our main role. And I'm very glad. I'm very glad for the Global Classroom giving me this chance to express myself and to learn more. And over the time, I've learned a lot from you guys. I remember we had some panels last year and even last year, but I really appreciate it. So if you allow me, we have some, yeah, let me first introduce my colleague here, Kate.
Okay, hi. Hi, my name is Kate, the school chairperson, 2023-2024, and also an ICC member. We have been participating in tree harvesting, tree planting, and we have many trees in our schools. They help in doing little. We have the trees which help us because our environment have factories around, so the trees help us to absorb the carbon dioxide and other materials in the environment. And now I will introduce Brenda to talk more about.
Hi, my name is Brenda Grace Kisienya. My name is Brenda Grace Kisienya. I am the Cabinet Secretary for Environment, Health and Sanitation in our school, and I take this opportunity to thank you for giving me this opportunity to come before you. And I also appreciate because this is a golden opportunity where I'm going to showcase what I have.
Yeah, and as you have heard from them, indeed, as you, the moment you step in Ruaraka High School, you find it different from out. Like Ruaraka is a whole new world the moment you step in. That's on this special. We have some few presentation here. I think Brenda is going to take you through a few use of plastics here. Yeah, Brenda.
Okay, I'm going to present to you a decoration which we made it from a cake board. And here you can see a tiara, a broken tiara, where we have decorated them. And also we have buttons, which we have used them, where it could have ended in a storm, and you hang this decoration on your wall, and it may look attractive. Also, we have this. This is a brooch here at the centerpiece. As you can see, it looks gorgeous and very beautiful. And it is also a decoration. You can hang it on your wall. And also you have this one. And here we have the plastic spoons, the wooden spoon, where we have also repurposed them. And lastly, we have this one, where you can see we have used the bottle tops and the spoons. And this way, we are repurposing our plastics, than the fabric waste, which would have ended in the oceans, which will affect the aquatic life.
Yeah. And as we also have some few little nice things here. On this fashion week, we have some nice sandals here. And as you can see, this sandal is made up from a simple rubber shoe and pieces of kitenge from the tailors. See, it's very simple, and this is a simple way. This is a way of doing our little things here. So you can see the pieces of fabric being put together to make a nice kitenge. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Those are fantastic. Are you guys are coming here at the end of the year for the catwalk, are you? You'll have to bring some of them with you. Fantastic.
We have one more here. Ooh. So this is a funny pug. This is a funny pug. You can use it to tie on your waist and do it like yeah, I know you're observant with this, right? So you tie it, and on your beautiful picnic day, you just stuff in your little things here, and you're off to go. So this is another way of fixing fashion waste, and a creative way of fixing fashion waste. I know you're very enthusiastic about this, right?
Amazing.
Yeah,
There's loads of designers of the future among us. Oh, this is gorgeous. Fabulous, guys.
Thank you. As you can see also, we have these small bags where you can put your phones, wallets, and other girls' essentials, which are the ribbons from the fabric waste.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
So yeah, as Oraka, we are very grateful for this platform. And lastly, we have some flower vase here. So these are made from this. These are cartilage from inks, but you can take them. We take a material, we cover them around, and it becomes a very beautiful flower vase. These are for dry flowers, and actually, we are quite sure that this material could have been somewhere else, and this cartilage could have been somewhere else. So if we take this and place the material here, it makes a very beautiful flower vase. You can also use it for other accessories. So as Oraka again, I would like to, I'm very, very honored to be here. And this is my last time, me, Milton, being here because I'm on my Form 4 and I'll be leaving high school after this. But I'm very determined to still link up with the team and sensitize. Yeah, sensitize, educating, sensitizing. And as young people, just as Danson had said, we really have a role to play in this. And that's why me and my colleagues here, the student leaders, we are going to take the forefront. Yeah, thank you very much.
Massively inspiring. Congratulations, guys. That is phenomenal. I'm going to blitz through a little Q&A now. I know some of you guys will have to leave just because it's coming up to 2 p.m. So no problem at all if anyone does want to leave. I think it's fascinating there hearing about the goats coming in and eating the trees. We have similar issues in Ireland with loads of overgrazing. We're actually meant to be a temperate rainforest country, but if you've seen Ireland, it's lots of fields, or our mountains are barren for the most part with no trees on them. So there's conversations here happening about how much of that we can reclaim now as well. So we may be miles and miles apart, but we're dealing with lots of similar issues. And to touch on those brilliant examples of reuse, I saw one of the questions for today was about circular Irish brands or reuse brands we're using. And I thought I'd show you something that I found in a brilliant place in Ireland called the Rediscovery Centre. It's in Ballymun if anyone's ever been, and they're fantastic. They do lots of repairing, upcycling, bike repairs, anything you could think of. Can you guess what those are? Has anyone ever seen an old vinyl that you could play music off, the big old black records? They've made gorgeous little earrings out of old little things like that. So I thought that was a really, really cool way to do it. Looked brilliant to do with CDs as well if you wanted a lovely metallic pair. And just to touch back on the documentary as well, we're talking earlier about how like there's always one person who leads the charge with something and then it just becomes normal. So I think one of the fascinating things that they were talking about was mushroom leather. This is an Irish company by an amazing young girl, and it's not made from mushrooms. I'm going to give you 60 seconds in the chat if anyone wants to guess what this is made from. It's a leather bag. It's not made from animal skin. And it's not made from mushrooms. So I'm going to pop that down for a second if you can think about that. But while we were talking about that, I think one of the fascinating things was, because we're talking mainly about the environment here, but also social justice is such a massive issue. So you're all coming up to the age now where you're going to be starting your careers. You're going to be thinking about like, oh, is this fair? I'm going to be out. I'm going to be trading my time for money. So I think one of the fascinating things in the documentary that we can't ignore was 2.5 million children picking cotton in the old system that they were using, but also less than 2% of the workers getting a living wage. So I'm wondering emotionally what that kind of brings up for any of you. If the different school groups want to write into the chat, what kind of way you would feel if you were told that from a really, really young age, you had to go off and do backbreaking work all day, potentially in a space with lots of chemical pesticides that are extremely bad for humans, how that might make you feel and why that might be another way to motivate us to build a better future for the planet. And while we're getting all of those answers in, I'm just going to ask really, really quickly around the group if there's any resources for sustainable fashion that we use online that people can go off and use today. I know personally, greenwash.com is a brilliant one if you are looking to buy from a new brand and you want to go off and check that out and see if they've been caught out for greenwashing before, or if there is any kind of other companies that you're looking for too good to, I'm confusing that with a food one now. Good On You is a really good sustainable fashion app for judging different brands. If anyone else wants to hop in with any ones that they use as well, please do. I have seen the right answer in the chat there as well for the bag. But if anyone has any of the different resources that they use for sustainable fashion, maybe Alex, Lillian, or Anyone else there, if you guys have resources you'd like to recommend people go off to?
Well, I mean, one thing, we can always go straight to the Depop and the, you know, those sort of brands that have been made quite expensive. And if your aim is to buy secondhand, more sustainable clothes, but you don't have that much disposable income, you can go to the good old reliable eBay, and they have so many secondhand clothes that you can buy. So that's my tip.
Fantastic.
Yeah, Thriftify, as I mentioned before, is actually an online resource for all the charity shops. So if you can't get to, if there's not many charity shops in your local area, they all upload their fashion to one spot, Thriftify, and you can shop all of the shops and they deliver. And then also NUW is a online swap shop. So you can upload clothes that you'd like to swap with other people. You get coins, and then you can use those coins to swap for free clothes with other people.
Fantastic. And Thriftify are coming offline soon. They're going to be doing pop-up stores in Dublin from later on this month, if anyone's around to try that out. So I just think that's an absolutely fantastic business to be supporting. If anyone wants to fire in any last questions, get them into the chat now, or we're going to leave you go and enjoy your lunch. This, congratulations, Lily and Cleve, is of course made out of apple leather, which I just think is so fascinating. So the waste products, when they're making apple juice or different things to do with apple, they can now turn it into leather. So not only are we using sustainable produce that doesn't kill animals, we're also reducing food waste, which we all know is a massive contributor to our emissions as well, that we need to reduce, and just waste in general. Why should we be wasting food? We absolutely shouldn't. It's so precious. So that's a really fantastic bit of new technology. I know the documentary touched on the different bacteria that are going to replace some of the chemical dye processes. Really fascinating stuff. And I think if we take anything away from today, it's just that you can be the change in whatever space that you are operating in. As a does it smell like apples? It doesn't smell like anything. It is indifferent. I also know what you mean about the smell of animal leathers. It can be quite overwhelming if you go into some of the vintage shops. But again, still better to be buying that secondhand than new, for all of the precious natural resources that it's not using. So we have website recommendations there. I assume that's for maybe sustainable fashion shopping. I think YouTube University is just a brilliant way to go if you're trying to learn to do anything more sustainable, whether that's how to set up a sewing machine, how to stitch back on a button, anything like that, even how to learn embroidery if you want to jazz up something older that you have. I'm no doubt we'll get lots of inspiration from things like the amazing Girk Community School, the way they did their Christmas jumpers, to revamp them. That's a brilliant one to do. Halloween is obviously coming up next week. So if there's anything you want to do ahead of that, that'd be great to do as well, because we've talked there about the secondhand fashion market in Kenya, but one of the other countries that's really impacted by our overconsumption and the subsequent dumping of those clothes is Chile, where the Atacama Desert is being piled up and up, an area of natural beauty, with things like novelty Christmas jumpers that we're buying once for ridiculously low prices, not caring about them, not thinking about them beyond the initial gag, dumping them, and then they get shipped around the world to just rot there over 200 years. So a total waste of money. And in terms of some other sustainable fashion websites, there's lots of brilliant rental ones in Ireland now. There's Happy Days, there's Covet, there's Droby, there's some other ones down in Limerick. There's Rag Revolution as well. I cannot remember the name of the one in Limerick, but if anyone can, they can give me a help in the chat. And some of the brilliant websites, if you're looking for maybe fancier designer bits that you want to treat yourself with, Vestiaire is a brilliant website. But the eBays, the Etsy's, all of those are fantastic for secondhand stuff. And then the Halloween swap shop, of course, that is part of Climate Action Week. So definitely get down to that as well if you can. And there was one more question there. And I think we might do a little quick round robin with this and then wrap up. So how can we encourage our friends and family to adopt sustainable fashion practices without being preachy? So if we go back to the two things I shared at the start about my philosophy of communications, is sharing our excitement about these things, encouraging people in a fun way is just one way to get people to go about it. Like, we all come to these things with different motivations. So whether it's purely for sustainability or if it's financial motivations of it being cheaper for people, I don't care what brings them to sustainability once they get there. So I always say support over shame. So if someone maybe wants to start, but they don't know where to start, I don't think barking at people about all of the woes that they're contributing to, if they do shop fast fashion, is going to bring them along with you. But if you share all the fun ways or the cheaper ways that they can get involved, like going charity shopping, going vintage shopping, all these different things, that's a really, really good way to go. But also progress over perfection. So I think a lot of us, when our eyes are opened, we can try to go completely sustainable 100 million% overnight. And that can provide a source of anxiety then if we feel the need to be really, really perfect with everything. But I think if we're just making great progress in that direction all the time, is a great way to go. Lillian Gleave, do you have any advice on that end as well? And then I might come to you next, Alex.
Yeah, I do. So I think sort of finding what your common motivation is. So I'm obviously not a mother, I'm 17, but if you were a mother, say that I want to do this, I want to support sustainability for my children. Or if you were, say, religious, say that I care about God's planet and that's why I'm trying to do sustainability. So finding that commonality between yourself and someone else, and then using that as a reason to want to be more sustainable.
And Alex?
I wanted to change the conversation. So instead of saying thanks it's pennies, I wanted to say thanks it's vintage or thanks it's secondhand. So I wear what I preach. So instead of maybe going in and giving, you know what I mean, a big preachy conversation with somebody, it's when somebody turns around and go, oh, where did you get that top? Or where did you get those trousers? And I say the charity shop that I got it in. And that's, I think, a great way of encouraging people to make different decisions about fashion.
Amazing. And then I'll finish up on Caleb and Lillian. If you guys have any advice about the communications ways that you've been talking to people about these issues, we'd love to hear them as well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for having us come here. I think with us, as we live here, there's lots that we've got to do, especially with these young people. And the fact that they are directly affected. We have one of the largest landfills, you know, called Dandora, just in our neighborhood. And sometimes there's that bad air that, you know, air pollution, and they can actually see, you know, hair extensions thrown and clothes thrown there. So it is up to them to take up the honors, to go back to their communities, their brothers, their sisters who work in the factories. We have an EPZ, you know, factory where clothing is done. They're paid very little and all that, but to speak to them and tell them the importance of these things. Some of their parents, their sisters are tailors, you know, so they will encourage them to do these little things so that we can protect Mother Earth. I believe, like Lillian One has said, this is God's planet. He made it and we are supposed to take care of it. So if we crush it in our own hands, we have nowhere else to go. We just have one planet, and that is Earth. Thank you.
Fantastic, Lillian. Thanks so much. And Caleb, do you want to have the last word on that then, how you've been doing this in your community?
Yeah, mine once again is to thank everyone, and this has a ripple effect. In fact, we are living here challenged, and with the many things that we are going to do and what we've been doing and how we can make them better together with different people and creating awareness, because it is our work to make where we are a better place. Thank you so much. Many, many thanks. And I think we'll continue engaging, and even with the Ruaraka, now we will continue looking for each other and see how things can be made better. Many thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to meeting lots of you later in the year now at the Catwalk event as well. But I think Lillian's point there about like we only have the one place to live, this is our only home, is as good a motivation as any. So everything we hold dear is all here, and that's what we need to be looking after. So I'm going to send you off on your merry way. I hope you all have gorgeous Climate Action Week. May this be the start of a really inspiring journey. And I hope in a few years, like Lillian Gleave has been back here chatting about the amazing things she's been doing as a student, and you guys in Kenya as well. I hope lots of you who are maybe engaging with all of this for the first time today will be here in a few years' time having chats about the amazing journeys that this started for you. So enjoy the rest of your Climate Action Week. I'm going to hand back over to Claire now, and she might just tell you a little bit more about what's coming up throughout the week.
Thank you, Fionnuala, and thank you so much to all our panelists. I just really quickly want to share the swap shop that we have mentioned that is happening this Sunday. There's also a repair cafe in Blanchardstown Library as well, organised by TOG. And there'll be small upcycling repair stations here as well. So I love the fact that we're getting more repair cafes. I've been to 2 in the last year, and I've learning some of my mending and repair skills here, just to elongate the lifespan of your own clothes. So keep an eye at these in your local community and any that might pop up in the future. So this week is Climate Action Week. Check out some of our amazing events this week. We'll pop some links into the chat here. And as you can see, we have some inspiring climate ambassadors on our panel today. So we are open to new applications this year. The deadline is on Monday. There's just a simple application form online. So it's a fantastic opportunity to learn more about climate science and communications and become a leader in your school or community. So there's 18 climate pledges that the team are promoting this week. And today we would like to ask you to embrace slow fashion. So this could be by slowing down our consumption, thinking before we buy, shopping more conscientiously, the rewear, repair, swap, upcycle, buy pre-loved, visit your local charity shop, learn how to fix a button, care for your clothes, all of these things that we've been talking about today. So pop your pledges in here before you go, or to be in with a chance to win some incredible prizes this week, including €500 voucher for Thriftify, or Reuse, Sea Savers, and many others. If you could share your pledge on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, and tag the @climate ambassador using the hashtag Climate Action Week or the Climate Pledge. So best of luck to everyone for that. And just to give you a little bit of information about our next events, our next upcycling event on mending and repairing will be held online on the 6th of December. And we will move these to 12 o'clock going forward, because I think some schools finish early on Wednesday. That might just be a little bit more suitable for you guys. And then we will have our design thinking and circular economy webinar in the new year, followed by our clothes sharing in March, and then our final catwalk event, which will take place in April. And I will send a follow-up email with all these details. But to be in with a chance of winning, do send us evidence of your communication takeover by the end of October. So this can be just details of your screening or projects that you've been carrying out in the school. And we also have some quizzes on our website to test your awareness level in the school.
We're here today for our Let's Fix Fashion project, which is all about introducing secondary school
video, which
students.
You can look at on the Green Schools project page. So I might just leave that there because I know you're all probably heading off now. And yeah, just check out our website for more resources. Thank you so much for everyone attending today, and we cannot wait to see you all at the next event, and enjoy the rest of your Climate Action Week.